All right, so it is a blustery night here in Pennsylvania, so I think it's a good time for us to work on some bonsai. So let's go do it. All right, and we have an elm here, which is probably a Chinese elm. This is a cutting off of another Chinese elm or elm that I did in the past. So you can see that this one has put on a lot of growth since I pruned it up last. I see a lot of branches coming out at the same spot. So today we're going to simplify that and get some organization going on this tree. So let's do it. All right, so we're going to do a little defoliation on this. So let's just work away at this. And these things are just falling right off. Well, some of them are staying on. All right, so we have this all defoliated. And yeah, this trunk is really cool. It has a lot of cool movement on it. So let's break it down a little bit. So this trunk starts down here, works its way over here, and then has, let's see, at this junction here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it has a bunch of branches coming out here. So we're going to reduce that now to maybe just 1. I'm thinking this one will go right here, this one that's going straight up. There's a little one down here we don't need. Part of me wants this to be the new leader, actually, and get rid of this section altogether. Well, I think these two can go, that one and this one. Get rid of some of these leaves. Let's actually just look up here at this section right now and get rid of some of these. I know I don't want this one or this one. I think out of these branches here, these 1, 2, 3 that are left, I could keep 2 of them, and I'm leaning towards this one and this one. So let's get rid of this middle one here. So now we have this branch coming up and splitting into 2. And we're just going to cut that back a bit. I actually think I'm going to get rid of this section here as well. So that the first time, so now the first time that we see any type of branches will be at the split right there. Let me get rid of this weed. So it will come up here, split into 2, 1 and 2. And this third one back here that we have, so right now it's 1, 2, 3 that this trunk splits into. We will get rid of this right here. There we go. So now we have it coming up, splitting into 2. And then this one comes up right here, splits into 2, which is good. And this one comes up, has 1 branch that goes out this way. We're going to trim that back to here. And then this comes up again, 1 branch there. And I think we're going to get rid of this. What are we going to do? We'll trim this back first of all. Let's get an above view right here. So it's a little tough to see, so let me just put my hand back here. So this branch comes up, and then there's this first branch here, and then it comes out to this branch here. But there's this little tiny baby branch right here. And I think we can get rid of that. Even let me get rid of that with my finger. And I think I'm just gonna leave this branch as is, and we'll see what happens with that in the spring. There's also this little tiny branch here that I can get rid of. So yeah, this thing's looking pretty good. Very, very small. I don't know if you can tell, but this thing is only maybe about 4 inches tall. So this is quite the compact one. I love this little curve, natural curve. This was a root cutting, so it gave us a very interesting trunk here. So there are little bits here that are sticking up that I want to clip back just to clean up the trunk a little bit. Oh, there's a little branch here I can get with my finger. And I'm just going to seal up some of these little cuts with some lipstick that Tom from Grow and Clip Bonsai for Seniors gave me. And this will seal up the wounds, help it heal. All right, so we will leave that here and we'll come back and take a look at this in the spring and maybe do a repot on it just because I want to see what's going on with these roots. But if I don't do a repot on it, I'm sure it'll be fine for well over a year. I would only repot it just to keep the roots more manageable because, you know, I don't know really what's going on with those down there. So either way, we're good for today, and we will come back at this in probably maybe like 4 months when this will hopefully come out of winter dormancy. So let's move on to another one. All right, and we have another elm here. So this is one that I actually grew from a seedling, and this one is probably going on maybe 3 years old, maybe a little bit more. I'm not 100% sure. This is one that I dug up at my parents' house a few years ago when it was in a garden bed, just as a little weedling, if you will. So this one's just going to get a little prune and defoliation and just take a look to see how it's going. So let's get into it. All right, so you get the gist of what goes on when I do these defoliations. So I'm going to do a fun little trick. Let's snap my fingers, and when I snap my fingers, this should hopefully be defoliated. So ready, 1, 2, 3. All right, there we go. Now it is all defoliated. So let's break this down. So with this tree, I think this is actually the front right here, where it starts at the base here and it breaks into 2 leaders right here. And then this one comes up and then does its business up here. And this one comes up and does its business there. So let's take this 1 leader at a time. And we'll start with this one here. So let's jump in and take a look. All right, so it comes up here and then breaks into 2 here. And then this is our first branch. We have a little die back here. So that's fine, but we're just going to trim it back to about here. Next, it comes up and then this comes up and breaks into 2, which is good. And then this comes up and then we have some die back here. There we go. This part right here breaks into 2, so we're just going to clip this back a little bit. This one actually comes in towards the tree, but we're just going to leave that for now. There is a little branch here that I don't think I want. And this here. I just want to prune this one back a little bit to maybe here. So we're going to snip this back to here, and we'll snip this back to here. Trim this back a little bit. Bring that there. I'm going to trim this one back here to here. Then for the very top up here, we're going to trim this to here. And then this one here, we'll trim back to here. And we'll clip that die back. I think I can trim this back a little bit too. On this next one, we have our leaders right here and here that are way too tall, so we're just going to snip them back to here and here, just for a rough prune. And even I'm looking at this one, this is way too tall too here. So on this next branch right here, it comes up, and this is our first branch, but I think that might be a little bit lower than I want, so I'm actually going to trim that back. And then we have this branch here, which is fine. I like that. That's a nice improvement to have the branches a little bit lower. And then next up, we have another little branch back here, but it's at the same plane as here. And it's parallel with this one right here. So if I were to choose, I would get rid of this one, which I will. This one is growing in towards the tree, so I think I want to get rid of that one. And there's another one right here that's going upwards, but I'm going to take that out. I'm going to just trim this up a little bit. Next up, there's this little tiny branch that I think I'm going to trim off. And I'll just trim this a little shorter. And now for this, I believe I want to take this one off because I just don't like the way that it's going straight up. I like how this one is tapering down. So we're going to take this back to there. All right, and I think that will do it for this side, but I do want to trim this up a little bit, clean it up a little bit. So that's fine. I think we will trim this back to here though. A little bit of dye back here. And here. Then we have another little branch here, but I want to get rid of that. I don't really want that. This one is too long, so we'll just rough prune that back. Prune this back a little bit. And there's a little bit of dye back here. And I'll snip that here. A couple little branches here that I don't need. I want to stop that growing about here. And I think that will do it for this one. Yeah, I think that'll do it. So there we go. We're all pruned up for our winter prune or late fall prune, although it feels like winter so far. I think I'll eventually repot this one and change the angle of the tree because the front is not exactly where I want it to be. So that will be something that I'll eventually do, and maybe repot this just to see what the roots are doing. So yeah, that's it for today, and thank you for watching.